Saturday. Christmas comes early.
Unbelievable! Welcome to this incredible scene.
Bills.
To the end zone!
Chargers.
It's a touchdown!
An exclusive NFL game.
That's fantastic!
Live in primetime.
Wow!
Only on Peacock.
With a Christmas gift to their fans. They're having some fun now.
Bills versus Chargers. Saturday, 7:30 Eastern. Exclusively on Peacock.
Hello, Mavs fans. Welcome to Pod Maverick. My name is Kirk Henderson, editor-in-chief over at MavsMoneyball.com. I'm joined tonight by Josh Bowe and a baby. So we're joining you. It's about 10:10. We had intended to go live about a half hour ago, but yeah, things happened, and here we are. Thank you so much for being patient and hanging out with us a little bit. We'll see where this thing goes. For everybody who knows, the Dallas Mavericks just blew the doors off the New Orleans Pelicans earlier tonight in the second straight game where they look like they cannot be beat by anyone. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. So whenever if I'm still alive when your funeral happens, if they ask me to speak at the procession, instead of saying anything, I'm going to take a screenshot of this moment right now and just project it onto a wall behind your casket or your urn or whatever we got going on there, because I think we have summed you up the best way I can sum you up right now.
Yeah, I know.
This is it.
I get a little, we have fans from all across the internet, and every 3 months I get really testy on Mavs Twitter where some chuckle fuck will question my work ethic. And it's just like, no, I'm a true insane person. You don't know. But here's the other thing that is, I sort of have a mentality of pushing through it to where, little guy here was having a night. My wife is exhausted. We have newborn pictures in the morning. And so I want her to get a decent night's sleep. Nobody cares what I look like in those pictures anyways, so we're
looking at you. They're looking at baby, and then they're looking at Mary.
Baby and mom. That's right. So we're here. Thank you so much for being patient and hanging out with us. So full disclosure, I went to get dinner during halftime, and it took longer than I thought. And I come back, and the Mavericks went up from being up a little bit to being up a lot. And I don't even really know how to talk about this game, because at one point they were scoring 3 points per minute. This was an offensive, this was a murder. The Pelicans, the broadcasting team for the Pelicans, which is what I was listening to, they didn't know what to do.
It's like getting hit with a hurricane in the middle of a game, basically. Yeah, this was the Mavericks' best offensive game of the season. If you want to go by, per 100 possession data per game. I know that's kind of wonky, but they scored 145 points per 100 possessions tonight, which is the best mark of the season. They continue their streak of scoring at least 114 points in every single game. Back-to-back games over 130. They hit 23 pointers. Kyrie and Luka were both over 30 points. I mean, it's kind of a carbon copy a little bit of the Clippers game where the train just got rolling and it didn't stop. The only thing is it happened in the third quarter instead of the second quarter. Once again, the Mavericks they had a 40-plus point quarter against the Clippers. That was in the second quarter. Another 40-plus point quarter tonight, third quarter, 42 points. This is just, I think, even the most optimistic of those, whether you're a Mavs fan, whether you're media, whether you're a local or national. I would have to say that the expectations have been surpassed through 10 games. This is quite the show the team is putting on right now.
And the Mavericks quite rightfully were broadcasting some of like the greatest starts in team history, and this is essentially tied with the 5th best start in 40 years. So for those of us who have been fans of the team since the Dirk era, or there's a number of fans, I'm surprised about this, that really go back into the early 80s that listen to our show, they haven't seen very many starts like this. And so when we talk about getting off to like a 6-4 start or whatnot before the season, that's us trying to keep pace with like historical norms. And instead, what these Mavericks are doing are sort of blowing the doors off what I think any of us really thought. And there are younger fans, and I really do appreciate people like this that are out there. I got my his name is escaping my mind, but there's one of my friends who's predicting an 8-2 record the whole time. And I'm just like, what? And yet here we are. So it's kind of magnificent. And I'm really having a lot of fun, from a like X's, like from a really nitty gritty point of view. And those of you who have been with Josh and I for a long time know we like to kind of talk about like our own show metrics and stuff. It's quite literally better for us when the Mavericks win. Like in a scale of magnitude, like 40 to 50% more downloads, our page views go up. A lot of fans just move on when the team loses, which is really probably a healthy mindset. But like I'm podcasting with a baby. I don't have a healthy fan mindset.
Only the sickos stuck around for the end of last season.
That's right. So here we are, sort of like really, this has gone better than I ever could have hoped. And the one thing that I keep thinking, and this is really ridiculous, is I don't think they peaked.
I don't think so either. I mean, it depends on how good, much better defensively you think the team can get. I think offensively tonight was, I don't know how much better you can get offensively. I mean, Grant Williams didn't, never mind. Grant Williams scored 0 points.
Right. He was awful for like the 3rd straight game, and we're not even talking about it.
Yeah, and Tim Hardaway Jr. scored 15, but he also didn't have a huge shooting night. So that's pretty funny. So yeah, maybe they do have a little bit more meat on the bone offensively, but it's just hilarious. The Pelicans scored almost 130 per 100 possessions tonight. They hit 51% of their shots. They hit 17 of 36 from 3, and they were basically blown off the floor for most of the game, and they lose by 12. It's just, this Mavericks offense is just doing stuff that I almost want to say doing stuff we almost never seen before. But really, they were almost this good last season after the trade deadline. Like Kyrie and Luka. Yeah, on offense. Kyrie and Luka were scoring boatloads when they were on the floor. The rates were great. The problem last season was they had a historically bad paint defense, and they had crappy depth, and they had bad luck in the clutch. Clutch luck is turning around a little bit. Of course, process has been better, so that helps. They've helped their own fortunes a little bit. And the paint defense is still not great, but I don't think it's as bad as last season. And the depth is tremendously improved. And I remember, I swear we're going to talk like actually about the game, but I was just thinking before we went live, like preseason, me and you know a lot of people, you way more than me, that are national guys, guys that aren't just local media people. And you've got a web. You're the shadow broker of NBA Twitter is my favorite thing to call you. So we talk to a lot of smart people a lot, that because it helps to get like that outside perspective, because sometimes we're a little too deep in the weeds.
Very
and,
much so. Yeah.
We've had some people that we talked to that are like, man, like on paper, this team, like in training camp, they're like on paper, this team might kill it.
Well, the funniest one, we'll just tell because everybody knows. HP Basketball, Matt Moore of the Action Network, is like my
Public
mom was
Enemy
telling me,
#1.
like Public Enemy #1 of the Mavs team was basically telling me and Josh behind closed doors. He's like, my own metrics that I use to kind of do team predictions and stuff show the Mavericks killing it. And
yeah,
I mean, what?
And so like I'm almost thinking, and like even in our season prediction roundtable, I think I landed on 45 wins and then I said, but I was like, man, I'm looking at this team on paper and like 50 wins doesn't feel outrageous. But then the other part of my brain was like, but they won 38 games last season. those jumps don't always happen. It's not always that smooth.
What pace are they playing at right now, just for funsies? Like, I can't do the math in my head.
Oh my gosh, I'm so bad with winning percentage.
So it's an 80% winning percentage. So that's roughly like 68 games, something like that.
Yeah, that's over 60 wins for sure.
Yeah. This is hilarious.
Yeah. So like even then I kind of tempered my expectations a little bit because I was just like, injuries are gonna happen. And the preseason international trip, like the fact that they look this sharp and this fresh coming off an international preseason where they traveled like thousands of miles. They only played one preseason game in Dallas and they didn't look good in the preseason either.
No. Well, though, to be fair, I now feel a lot better about getting murdered by the Wolves in those two games because the Wolves look incredible.
Yeah.
Everything we saw against the Mavericks, the Wolves have done to every team they've played. So I feel a lot better about that one now.
That's true. So yeah, it's just, and it's also funny because what have you and I have been kind of screaming about for the last couple of years is just get better players. Like you don't have to get all-stars necessarily, although that'd be nice. Just stop trying to moneyball the roster. Stop trying to pick from the island of misfit toys. Like, go get good players and put them around Luka because Luka's really good and you don't need that much more, at least for regular season success. And we're seeing it with just Grant Williams and even Derek Jones Jr. to a slight degree and drafting a guy like Derek Lively. So I don't know. This is going to be, I don't know if this is an out of park reference, but have you in Liar Liar, the Jim Carrey movie, there's a scene where one of his clients like calls him after he's got the curse where he has to always tell the truth. And he's like, your client needs some advice. Like he's got caught robbing another house again. And he just yells, "Stop breaking the law, asshole." And I feel like that's like me, but just get better players, Maverick. Like that's what it feels like. And we're kind of seeing it now. Like they didn't need that much. It looks like, of course it's still early, but it's just, yeah, it's a crazy start, man. We could start talking. I know we haven't really even talked about the game specifically, but I just think this start needs to be put into some proper context.
I do. And I want to talk about the game. But before we talk about the game, we're going to shill for just a minute. So those of you who are in here already, if you could do me a favor and head on down and hit that like button. Jason Gallagher tried to explain to me the other night why it helped. I still don't understand, but I'm glad that it does. Hitting that like button is very important. If you could also do me a favor, when this video is done, leave comments on the actual video itself. That sort of engagement, I always try to at least read and like every single comment that we get, even the ones that tell me I'm an idiot. And there are those. The last thing you could do for us, if you're at all interested, is hit the subscribe button. We do these shows as often as we can. I made a promise in the preseason that I would do both a regular show and then the fan show where you guys can come talk with us after every game. So far, I have not been able to do that because I had a baby and I shouldn't have made that promise and I am an idiot. That said, I'm going to keep doing this as much as possible, Josh, and I love talking Mavs. He tried to tell me before this, I'll just do a solo pod, but I wanted to talk about the game. You know, like we've gone through too many like horrible seasons to not talk about the fun times. Okay.
We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. One of the things I love about Indeed is it makes hiring all in one place so easy and streamlined so I can spend more time on the rest of my business. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. So the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Just go to Indeed.com/Blue Wire right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/Blue Wire. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Let's see. So I'm not even sure how to talk about this game because I was pretty worried coming into it because Zion Williamson is just such a world eater at the rim, and the Mavericks have been giving up 1,000 points in the paint. I didn't really know what was going to happen. Did you have any kind of predictions heading in? What do you think about this one?
I mean, I thought the Mavericks were gonna roll in this game.
Really?
If only because, hear me out, the injuries on the Pelicans, and the Pelicans have been playing awful. They have not been good lately, and CJ McCollum's out. And if you look at this roster, they have no CJ McCollum, they have no Jose Alvarado. They don't have a point guard.
That's right.
So, and we've seen this season with the Mavericks, if you are not a great offensive team, they are going to leave you in the dust. If you're struggling on offense, you're not going to be able to keep up. The final score indicated that the Pelicans did keep up, but that's because I think they scored most of their points in fourth quarter garbage. They scored 39 in the fourth. Game was pretty much already decided after the third quarter. So, I think most of their good offensive numbers, I think, probably happened in garbage time. But up until then, they were kind of a mess. And they had 18 turnovers for the game. The Mavericks had 6. I mean, the Mavericks.
That was incredible with how sloppy they've been as of late. Even despite the wins, and one of them was Luka attempting the equivalent of the Joe Montana catch in the back of the end zone, where just Kyrie couldn't jump 35 feet in the air for things. I was wildly impressed.
Yeah. So the Mavericks didn't beat themselves, and they were, coldly efficient. They were 49% from the field, 20 of 53 from 3. I think a big thing, we're just Kyrie's woken up 7 of 10 from 3. He was 5 of 10 from 3 against the Clippers, and we've been kind of waiting for him to get back to form. And so this is kind of what it looks like. And this is kind of what it looked like a little bit last season. I don't know, if you're a team like the Pelicans, that's short staffed, they're missing Herb Jones, who's their best perimeter defender.
Yep.
I mean, you look at their starting lineup, Dyson Daniels, Jordan Hawkins, who's a rookie, Jose Valanciunas, who's big but not quick foot, at least
Jose
in terms
Alvarado.
of he was out.
Sorry, you said Jose Valanciunas.
Oh my God, sorry, Jonas Valanciunas.
That'd be a scary ass player.
That would. But you look at the Pelicans starting lineup; they had one good defender in it.
Yeah,
I mean, Brandon Ingram and Zion are not.
Zion should be a much better defender, but he runs into the Luka Doncic of it all, where it's just he's decided not to play defense since coming in from Duke.
Right, and then they had Jordan Hawkins play 28 minutes because he has to, and that's a rookie guard. That's just tough.
Yep.
The Mavericks were surgical and just kind of beating this. The Pelicans tried to trap. I thought the Mavericks were really good in the first half. Pelicans were trapping, and the Mavericks decided to use Grant Williams as the roll man, knowing that the trap was coming, because maybe they felt a little bit more comfortable with Grant making those plays, catching at the elbow and passing out instead of maybe Lively, and have Lively as a finisher. And to Grant's credit, he had 0 turnovers, so he made the right reads. He only had 1 assist, but I think that kind of went into why he didn't score very well. He only had 4 shot attempts. Because the Pelicans, the way the Mavericks were using him, he wasn't necessarily in a position to score because he wasn't spotting up from 3 as much. He was kind of rolling into the free throw line area off the Pelicans doubles, getting the pass, and then kind of making the next play. He probably had a couple of hockey assists tonight, so it didn't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. But the offense was moving well when he was on the floor because he was able to keep the ball rolling and not make a mistake when Luka passed him the ball out of the trap. So that kept it going, and then the shooters were good. Kyrie was great.
Did you hear that belch?
I did. That was a good one.
This child belches like a man.
That's good, though. I remember with our little one, we didn't always know if she burped or not. I would just keep doing it forever, even if
it's incredible. But
yeah,
the thing that I was just first of all, we're doing one particular guy a little bit of injustice. Kyrie Irving.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Welcome to the season.
How do you even talk about that game? And because he's had good games. That's what always makes the Kyrie parts of this a little bit difficult, because he's not really shot to his own what he would have probably liked to have done at certain parts of the year, missed some bunnies, not connecting on threes, that sort of thing. I was wondering if we were going to get like a regression to the mean game, or if he was going to have like a 10-game stretch where he shoots like 55% from three and just goes to town. And instead, we got a little bit of both tonight. I'm not, man, if Luka and Kyrie are on, the Mavericks are this close to unbeatable.
Yeah, pretty much. We even saw that last year where they remember that game against the 76ers?
Oh, that was a great game.
There's nothing you can do when they're locked in, especially when they're hitting threes. Like when Luka's hitting threes, it's like, good luck. Thanks for coming. You have a nice night. We'll see you next time. Like it's just impossible. And they combined for 3 turnovers between the both of them. Like Kyrie has been great with the ball, by the way. I think he's only averaging about 2 turnovers per game. That's pretty great. And the thing about Kyrie that just makes this click is just his willingness to play off ball and how good he is at it. And he's had practice, obviously. He's played with LeBron. He's played with Kevin Durant. And he's such a good spot-up shooter. Like the way the Mavericks can deploy him, I know sometimes fans get a little angsty when they see him just kind of spotting up in the corner. But like sometimes that's like just really good floor spacing. Like he's a tremendous spot up.
I'm glad you brought that up because there's a contingent of online Kyrie specific fans that lose their minds when talking about Kyrie in relation, because like the ideal Kyrie as a basketball player, like if he was able to suit up 82 games a year and do what he does when he looks amazing, he'd be a top 2-3 player in the league. But he's 30 years old. He's not physically able to do some of that stuff. That happens. And so Luka is a ball dominant player, but he's also younger and he's able to take the beating. And I think it drives certain elements of the fan base nuts that Luka doesn't share the ball more, but like letting Kyrie cook when Kyrie is able, as opposed to needing it every night, is a true honest to God luxury because it makes this team scary. And I am just really pleased watching him play. Now, there are moments where I wish when he was the guy on the floor. Tonight wasn't a good example because that man attacked early. But there have been games this season where he's definitely, what do you want to call it? He hasn't attacked and he's let Tim Hardaway take the lead. I'd like to see that stuff clear up, and I think it will.
A little bit of that happened tonight. Yeah,
for sure. And I just couldn't be happier with this sort of Kyrie stuff because not needing Kyrie to play beautifully and still getting wins just makes this team legitimately frightening for when he does play well.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and this is what we're like, their 2 supernova games have happened when he's woken up and they've still winning games even without that. So that's exactly what you said. And I think what was really nice tonight is and I'm guilty of this too. Like when we think about Kyrie and Luka, it's like, well, why isn't like Luka sending picks for Kyrie? Why isn't Kyrie like people want to see the direct action? And this isn't just a Mavericks thing; it's an NBA thing. Because think about how many times if you're a purveyor of NBA national media, like there was a big narrative about like Kevin Durant and Steph Curry not running enough pick and rolls when they were together in Golden State. There was the narrative when Kyrie and LeBron were together during the regular season. People would be like, well, why aren't they running around? And like sometimes teams, players, coaches, they just like to save that stuff. They don't necessarily need
Rick Carlisle was notorious. He stopped running Luka KP pick and rolls. And it's like, why? Spam it, murder it.
Right. And that's just, it's just not how it works. But to their credit, they're not necessarily doing that. But the ball still is finding people in a way that it wasn't last season. I think a lot of that is just, Luka being in shape, being able to push the ball. But a lot of that is just the roster's better. Like how many people had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players had at least 2 assists, which I think is a really nice sign. Tim Hardaway Jr. had 2 assists, Dwight Powell had 2 assists, and those are guys that are normally play finishers. So I think, the ball's really moving well when those guys have multiple assists. Josh Green had 3, Jaden Hardy had 2, which is nice. Get a little movement with the bench. So I think the ball is still moving around pretty well. And yeah, Luka is still dominating the ball. Maybe not as much as last season, but the transition stuff definitely helps. And we were talking about this in Slack earlier. I don't know if you saw it, but like Jordan was just talking about like how impressive it was that Luka was hitting the kick ahead, and we were trying to think of like reasons why. Like, has he bought in? Is it a conditioning thing? And I think all those things are true. But for me, the main reason is he finally has people to kick it ahead to. Like last season, is he kicking it ahead to Theo Penson or McKinley Wright or Frank Ntilikina or Facu Campazzo? Like they just had a rough end of the bench last season. Now he's got, 24-year-old Grant Williams. He's got Derek Jones Jr. He's got Derek Lively. He's got Kyrie, a full training camp, preseason with Kyrie, who I think, not trying to start a debate about Kyrie versus Jalen Brunson, but they're just different play styles. I think Kyrie likes to get up down the floor a little bit more than Brunson. Not to say that
Brunson plays a lot like Luka, and people didn't want to
yes.
have that conversation.
Yes. So I think Kyrie's style fits a little bit better, not to discount how great of a player Brunson is. And also not to discount, like, that doesn't mean like the Mavericks were right to do what they did that summer with Brunson, but Kyrie just works out with the transition game a little bit more. Hardaway's been pretty good in transition. Josh Green's been good. Like his best moments, I feel like, are making plays on the break. And then like you've got Jaden Hardy in the rotation over someone like Seth Curry. Seth Curry didn't play till garbage time in the fourth quarter. Hardy got some minutes in the second and third quarter when the game is theoretically still on the line. They're playing a lot of young athletic guys compared to last year that have higher pedigree than what they did last year, which makes a difference. And I've really liked Exum. I know he hasn't played a lot these last two games, but when he's been on the floor lately, I've just really enjoyed his combination of size and skill. Like, just feels like the Mavericks aren't missing a lot now when they go to their bench compared to last season when it was like whenever Luke went off the floor, you're like, all right, buckle up. Like, can they not get outscored by 10 points in these 3 or 4 minutes Luke is trying to get some rest? Now it just feels like the team can play a consistent style from start to finish because they finally acquired some players that kind of fit what they're trying to do better.
Well, one of the things I've been thinking about is, kind of like season-long game planning, what teams have to do on a night-in, night-out basis. And one of the frustrating elements about watching the Mavericks for the past, the last year in particular, but when it didn't work in 21, 22 is also very frustrating. The fact that the pace of play is up really changes, I think, the season-long math for how you defend this team. Because even if the Mavericks aren't running or aren't getting kick-ahead passes on a given night, that opposing teams have had that drilled into them, or at least they should, that this is what the Mavericks are going to do, forces that other team to run harder. And the Mavericks are controlling the pace by pushing it more. And then you have the fourth quarter. And so, not to like spoil a piece, but David Trink has a piece coming out tomorrow morning for Mavs Moneyball that talks about the differences in the first and fourth quarter for these Mavericks last year to this year. And, these last two blowouts have sort of tinkered with his thesis, but I actually think it's correct. The Mavericks have traded their first quarter efficiency in previous years for fourth quarter efficiency right now. And it's helping them close. And I think that running is a big part of that because teams are tired. They're not able to do certain things against them by the end of it because the Mavericks are just bombarding them. I mean, you said this probably 2 pods ago, but the threat of the Mavericks to go on like a three, hitting 3 straight threes like they're the run and gun Suns it's putting legitimate fear of God against other teams.
Yeah, it really is. And I think that's a good point you make, because previously I think teams kind of knew, even though it was really difficult to stop, there was at least like a book on the team where it was like, okay, they like playing in the half court. Let's try to speed the tempo up. They don't like playing a fast game. That's where they get sloppy. That's where their defense really suffers. Like, that's our chance. We can't play a half court game against this team. And now it's like, okay, now they're the ones initiating some of the running and the up tempo. And now that kind of takes away a weakness that teams would try to exploit in the past. So now it's like, pick your poison, because they're still killing it in the half court. Like, they're still absolutely crushing teams in half court play. And now they've got a transition game worth a damn. And it's not necessarily fast break points. It's just getting up and down the floor faster, secondary break, all that stuff. So I think that's a really great point. Like, they're just a little bit more well-rounded. So it's harder for teams to kind of sit on some of the things that they like to do, because really, like, you think about by the time they got to last season, the team had gotten maybe a little too, what is it, comfortable? I don't know how to say it, but they were kind of set in their ways and the ways they like to do things. And eventually teams can pick up on that. And I think that the way they're playing now isn't, well, it's not like a total 180, like they're not a completely different team. They've just kind of added something to their repertoire. So other teams can't just be like, okay, the book on this team is let's get them out of their half court game. And that's the way we can mess them up and frustrate them and make it sloppy. And we can outrun them because we have the better athletes on the floor. Like that's not the case now. I mean, Eric Lively and all these young guys.
Krishna points this out in the chat, and the fact is that the Mavericks can play slow whenever they want to,
right?
Because they've done it.
That's
so
the ace.
It's not going to be much of an adoption thing where it's like, all right, well, these guys are really something. Ooh, hello there, another burp. Ooh, milk drunk guys, it's the way to go. Trying to think what else I really wanted to talk about this game. It was funny. I do think we need to shout out Josh Green a little bit because we've been pretty mean to him lately because he's been pretty bad. He finished with 13, 3, and 2, along with 2 steals. Had some nice, just some nice plays. 28 minutes. He's had a couple of defensive snafus where they got to get in film with him and show him the overhelp. But I wanted to say it because I think sometimes I use him in particular as a bit of a what do you want to call it? Like just
punching
he's
bag?
not is kind of the
mascot of this.
Of kind of their issues, and that's not fair to me because I'm just I like when the guy plays well. I liked what I continue to really be impressed by Jaden Hardy's willingness to do the role that he's been given. Yes. I think he had a real opportunity this year to come in like a bit of a jackhole, and he just hasn't. And I got to get shout out to him. Mm-hmm. Dwight Powell lives, and Dwight Powell continues to matter to this team a great deal. He had a lot of boards tonight, really played his ass off in a game where I thought he was going to die because Derek Lively had a little bit of foul trouble. Lively had an interesting game. My standards are rising for Lively, which is a good thing. Right. And I continue to be impressed with him. Was there anybody else that really stands out for you?
I think I already mentioned it, but I really liked Exum's minutes, even though he only played 13 minutes. He's just an interesting comment because he's big. Like he is so big for a guard. Like he's bigger than Josh Green. It feels like. I don't know if that's true or not. I think he weighs more than Josh.
So our friend John Gennaro, who's actually the husband of our previous editor Rebecca Lawson, texted me tonight, and he said that he feels like he feels like Exum is Josh Smith's looper, like Josh from the future who's figured something out. And I like that take because there's some similarities now they play, but like the bigness of Exum stands out, and just kind of there's a fearlessness to him that the Mavericks need in some of these things because he's not afraid to push the tempo, to get hit in the face, hit in the mouth. I like it.
And especially, I mean, he played overseas for 2 years, and it's a little bit of a physical game. So, like, I think that seasoned him in ways that he needed it. He just has like this calming like he's just something that the team. He's so much of what the team did not have last season coming off the bench. Like, just talking about a guy that you feel comfortable with handling the ball, that you feel comfortable getting a team through some bench sets, but also not having, last season, it was like, okay, well, you felt okay with Kemba before his knees died, or maybe Facu running some offense.
That's right.
But also, those guys are like 5'11", and they're giving so much up on the other end. And it's like, okay, get McKinley Wright out there, and he or Frank Ntilikina, they can hold up a little bit better athletically, but those guys are not. Those are not guys you want running your bench offense or anything like that. Like the way he's just able to be just kind of a jack of all trades kind of guard to come off the bench. Like you're not sacrificing size, you're not sacrificing defense, you're sacrificing a little bit of shooting and maybe offensive efficiency, but you take that when it comes with him, his steadiness handling the ball and getting the teams through the sets that they need to run. So his minutes are going to fluctuate a little bit. I think like he's not going to be a 20-minute per game guy. He might not even be a 15-minute per game guy, but when he's in the game, he has a calming presence on the rest of the bench guys, especially, with like Hardy and Green, who can get a little sporadic for sure. It feels like he kind of settles things down. the thing about Hardy that's really impressive that I feel like I know you just shouted him out, but I want to just
Please.
double down on it. Like we came into the season, it was like, okay, Tim Hardaway Jr. is coming off the bench. You've got Kyrie and Luka, who also basically play Hardy's position, scoring guard. So, and then they signed Seth Curry, a veteran who's already worked in Dallas, who's one of the best 3-point shooters ever. You theoretically, it was like, well, where's Hardy going to play? Because you've got Kyrie and Luka are going to play 30 plus minutes a night. Tim's going to play. He's not going to not play. And then you think, okay, well, that's already 3 guards in your rotation. How many more are going to play? Seth is a veteran. Exum's a veteran. Like where it just felt like Hardy was the odd man out because he's a younger guy. Like, Jason Kidd wants to go with vets. That's not a shocking thing. He wants guys maybe that can play a little defense. So maybe he goes with Exum. And so the fact that Hardy has kind of forced his way into the rotation a little bit, even if it's not a huge, gigantic role, like the fact that he's playing in the first 3 quarters and it's Seth Curry that's one playing in mop-up duty in garbage time, I would not have predicted that. And I think that's a really nice sign of things to come because you want Hardy to play because you want this young guy to get as many minutes as possible because he could be a legitimate building block. And even if it's not with the Mavericks, you want to increase his value for down the road if another team starts calling. So even if his future might be a little handicapped because like Kyrie and Luka aren't going anywhere anytime soon, I just love the fact that he's making an impression on the coaches enough to get into games before some guys that have a lot of veteran cachet, so to speak. So that's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I'm enjoying this. I do think it's also worth shouting out Luke Byrne in the chat notes this. Olivier Maxence Prosper got his first NBA basket of the game. A pretty awesome drive, accepted a bump in midair and finished despite contact going at the rim. Really liked that. Also really liked how excited the Mavericks were for him. Thought that was pretty fun. I don't know. This is nice. And, I do love me a righteous rage fest whenever the Mavericks do something exceedingly stupid. But so far, we just haven't had anything like that. And so I'm kind of trying to enjoy this as much as I can while also being, broadly, as Evan notes, Kirk looks tired AF, while also being very tired in real life. But I do think it's also worth mentioning because, we have been very difficult on Jason Kidd since the Mavericks hired him at the start of 3 seasons ago. And he did not have a good year last year. He didn't. I think there's an argument to be made. I read an article about this on Mavs Fans for Life. That's what it was. About kind of Kidd, his coaching job this year. And I think it's worth mentioning because he has done a nice job. There's really something to getting out of the way and letting your best players play. And we've seen coaches who cannot do that, like not just with the Mavericks. Like I would argue Steve Kerr has kind of been like just a frustrating butthead. Kidd in the past. I mean, there's a number of people who said, Kidd's pushing all these younger players so he can use it as an excuse when they don't win. And here's the thing, they're winning. There's no excuses to be had. There's just sort of nothing going on right now. And
even then, I mean, he didn't start Lively game 1 because I think there was maybe part of him that was like, is he really ready to be our starting?
Well, I didn't
center?
agree with this take at the time, but somebody said that night, like, what if they didn't start Lively because Kidd didn't want to have undue pressure on the rookie? And as I'm further away from it, I have to give that idea credence because it looks like that. It's I don't know. There's still plenty of ways things could go goofy, but it hasn't, and I don't want to talk about it until it does.
Yeah, and I mean they did revamp the coaching staff a little bit, and they're much better on out of timeout plays. So I don't know if that's causation or correlation or whatever.
That's a good point.
They were really good on out of timeout plays when I can't remember his name for the Western Conference Finals. The Slovenian, yes, and I think a lot of people attributed that to him, just judging by how his other teams have played in the past. And then he left, and I don't know. Their bench was pretty young, like their coaching staff, like. Sean Sweeney has been around for a little bit, but he's still relatively young.
Yeah, they don't have
then,
like 20. They don't have like that 22-year-old coaching vet that's just a permanent lifetime assistant.
Yeah, so I wonder if they did mix up their coaching staff a little bit. And I wonder if that's paying dividends. And Kidd, to me, strikes me as a coach, at least so far in his Mavericks tenure, that when he has options, he seems, I mean, and this is true for all coaches, but he just seems much more comfortable when he has options. He might not be the coach you want to make chicken salad out of chicken shit. sorry to say. Like, he might not be that guy that you want necessarily to take a misfit toys and put them together and survive. But they've given him more toys to play with, and similar to the 2022 Western Conference Finals run, when it felt like they had a little bit more depth and they had more defensive versatility because Reggie Bullock felt like a breath of fresh air because they just didn't have that other 3-and-D wing next to Dorian. Like they've finally kind of gotten back to having more playable guys, and I think Kidd's done a good job managing the minutes. And lineup wise, I know everyone kind of threw pitchforks at Derek Jones Jr. starting. People want to see Josh Green start, but it's working. It's working so far, and you can kind of see the vision of why Jones, even in a bad game, Jones wasn't amazing tonight. He only had 7 points, cooled off from 3 a little bit. Defensively, he was pretty decent, but you could just see the way they play with him in the starting lineup. Like it makes sense. And you see Green come off the bench and he's got more opportunities with the ball and he's making some good passes. And it's like, okay, even when Jones isn't shooting 1,000,000,000% from 3 like he has in some of these games, like it kind of makes sense. The puzzle pieces are fitting together. So, no qualms there for rotations or minutes or lineups or anything like that so far.
Oh, well, this has been a lot of fun. I don't really think I've got anything else. I do have a question for you that's on the technical side. If I was to ask for you to end the stream, are you actually capable of doing that?
I can. I got the button right there. That's
all right. So I'm going to close this out because, as you can see, I have 2 hands full.
Yeah.
Guys, this has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. I'll be back here in about 20 minutes. Going to see if I can get this little guy here, tuckered out. And then I'll be back. We'll do our fan show and hang out for a little bit. It's still pretty early. I'm hyped after that game. I had a good time. This has been Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. Please head over to MavsMoneyball.com tonight, tomorrow, often, frankly, because I've really been impressed with the kind of content our team is regularly putting out. Lots of interesting ideas that flow out there. And then, just fun to talk about winning basketball, right?
Yeah, for sure. More of this, please.
That's right. All right. Kirk Henderson and Josh Bowe. We will talk with you guys on Tuesday night. Have a good start to your week and go Mavs.
See you later.